for you to be here today, for your precious time to be here with us, be a part of and encouraging our group KOWIN. This is Atlanta Chamber of 2022, and again, my name is Gigi. I would like to go a little fast because we are under a little time pressure, and if you just follow me. If you feel comfortable, 한국말이 편하신 분들을 위해서 제가 중간중간에 한국말을 섞어서 제가 사용하도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 프로그램을 소개해드릴게요. The first program that we're going to start with will be KOWIN organization chart. This might be redundant, but for the people who just came here today, wasn't here on the first meeting, we just want to let you know who are running this Atlanta Chamber of 2022. Second, we are going to have a little welcome from this president, Lee, right next to me. And then we will have dearly guest speaker, Ms. Zara Kirishek, here with us today.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Very good. And then we will have just a little time to, just let you know who are here, you who are here on the first meeting. And also we will have a little bit of information on what we are going to do in April. And we have a lovely pottery artist and also our director of this chamber this year, Ms. Mooney Kim. And then later, we're going to have some Korean dish, and you can have a free networking over a nice dinner. So, KOWIN. KOWIN에 대해서 짧게 설명을 하겠습니다. KOWIN은 2001년 대한민국 여성부 출범과 함께 전 세계에서 활약하고 있는 한국 여성 인적 자원을 재단히 활용하고 연대를 강화하고 여성의 공지와 자부심을 고취하는 목적으로 활동한 단체입니다. 20년 동안 61개국에서 총 9,400여 명의 국내 지도자급 여성들이 참가하였습니다. I know it's a little quick, but we're just going faster because this was already done in the first meeting. This is our KOWIN Atlanta 22 organizing chart. We have Ms. Lee, president on the top. We have vice president. Where's Ms. Vice President? We'll be here shortly. We have general director, Ms. Mooney Kim, and we have all different department managers. We have 문화부장님, 사회부장, 홍보부장, 기획부장, 서기, 특보, 양환숙님, 나영순, 유수빈, 양환기, 김규희, 김수영님 등이 오늘 함께 자리해 주셨습니다. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm at the very bottom. I'm a 사장입니다. 이어서 회장님 환영 인사 말씀 및 그리고 2022년 KOWIN 아틀란타 목표 또 오늘의 주제인 Women Leaders American Mainstream Society에 대해서 조금 설명하시고 그 다음에 또 절친한 친구분이신 샤라 캐리셰님을 같이 모셔서 이야기 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 박수로 맞아주세요.
감사합니다. 이렇게 바쁘신데 금요일 나오셔서 저희 KOWIN에 참석해 주셔서 너무 감사드립니다. 특별히 오늘은 저희들이 정상원 의원님 모시고 저희들이 같은 이민자로서 또 같은 여성으로서 또 어떻게 우리가 주류사회에서 그것을 뚫고 나가서 거기에서 탑 리더가 되셨나 그걸 저희 1세대는 저희 이민 시대에서 배우지 못하는 법을 저희가 그런 기회를 통해서 KOWIN을 하고자 그리고 2020년에 저희 목표는 저희가 배우고 주류사회에 배운 거를 알아서 우리가 또 함께해서 같이 성장하는 KOWIN 아틀란타 친구에 대해서 노력하겠습니다. 시간 내주셔서 너무나 감사드립니다. 오늘 그 자라 허젤 그분은 많은 한국 분들이 아시지만 그래도 전 이제 이 양력을 보시면 전 미국 공부 장교로서 하시고 또 저는 연방 사원을 하고 저는 이제 연방 사원일 때 그때 이제 알았습니다. 그리고 이제 전 조자 사원이고 그리고 현재는 탑 100 슈퍼 변호사로서 아주 활약하시고 제가 또 여기는 안 오는데 이번에 그 난민들 여기 미국에 들어오게 한 거, 그 자란 난민들을 뒤에서 다 해주신 분이 이분이었습니다. 그래서 그런 거는 이제 너무 보고 할 수 있는 게 아니라서 했는데 정말 큰 힘을 쓰시고 그때 제가 보면서 역시 저희 그래도 이민을 했기 때문에 그 어려움을 알고 뒤에서 이렇게 열심히 하시는구나 해서 제가 너무 존경하시는 분이에요. 그래서 자라가 나오실 때 큰 박수로 해주시길 바랍니다.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Good to see you. I am so honored to be with you tonight. This is such a beautiful event. I love all the beautiful, kind words. The KOWIN. This is such a beautiful organization because that is the key, is to being organized. And also tying back into having been able to meet many of you while I was your state senator, and also so many things we were able to accomplish down at the Capitol on behalf of the Korean American community and the Asian community and the immigrant community at large, which had never been done before, because when people started showing up at the Capitol, senators had come to me, Zara, where did you find her? Where did you find her? Come to Gwinnett County. You will see many cultures, many beautiful people, and you will learn so much. I represented over 100 countries, and it was the greatest honor of my life. And I don't think this was on the slideshow. I am the daughter of an immigrant. So I am first generation or second generation. Some people characterize it differently, but my father came to this country, and like many of you, had to learn how to be an American and how to function in an American society that is totally different than what you're used to. And that is a great, great challenge, and something that I learned from him, seeing him persevere. He's no longer with us, and I used to talk about this in political functions. My father is with us, so when I speak of my immigrant connections and community, my father is with me. And I know he's very proud to see us all coming together, because that was one of the things he talked about. Coming together, understanding people from other cultures, because sometimes he didn't get that from people he was dealing with. And so he always said, be kind to others. Learn how to walk in their shoes. And also, always, always have friends, which is networking. He was an early networker. So, talking about mainstream society and being successful in mainstream society, that's a huge task because I don't even know what that means, okay? I know each of you has your own journey, and I'm going to try to share some things that have worked for me for you to think about and to consider. And I will say, I love this bio. There will be a test at the end of this, okay? Make sure you fret this. I want to see some tattoos. And, you know, this is definitely good test material. Now, I know half of you will actually do this, so that's why I said.
We definitely have a Q&A time.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. And I also have cards for everybody in the back of the room because I do want you to have those so that you can find me. All right. So, I went through, President Lee told me I needed to speak for 6 hours. And I know I'm a politician, so, you know, I could probably speak for 100, but we're going to keep it short so that people don't fall asleep. Okay? And first thing and most important thing, love what you do. No matter, don't go for the money. Don't go for what you think looks good. Think in your heart what makes you happy. And that's what I've done. I'm a lawyer, but I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Since I was 10, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer because I saw how people who could not afford lawyers were treated. And I said, you know, the American justice system needs to work for everybody, including the poor, including folks who don't speak English. No matter where you come from, in America, we have a Constitution. And that Constitution needs to work for everybody, and that's what lawyers do. At least that's what I've been able to do. Because in my practice, I've been a prosecutor, but I've also been a defense lawyer. I've been a legislator, but I was also counsel to a governor. So I've gotten to be on many different sides and now have a more complete, I think, perspective as I've gotten older. I know I don't look it. I am over 50.
Wow, very shocked. Very shocked.
Yes, but I have that good Asian blood. So when I'm 800, I'll look 100. So. Now, I saw that it was on there. I'm very glad. You know, best lawyer, super lawyer, all that. Blah, you know, super everything, right? That's also an immigrant thing, you know. We call it immigrant guilt. Your daddy came and gave up everything to come to this country. You better make good on it.
That's right.
Yeah. See, you know what I'm talking about.
Here.
The mamas and the daddies tell you that every day. Listen, I came from Korea. I gave up everything for you to be here. So, you make good on it. But that's a very good motivator as well. I love that because anytime I think I'm going to quit, oh no, I think my daddy's going to come down from heaven and get me if I don't do well. So it's always in the back of your mind, right? All right, be true to your authentic self. Okay, so I've been, doing fun stuff like this, but I'm also being true to my authentic self, which is I'm loud, I laugh a lot, I smile a lot, and I can be very persistent in a nice way, which is an advantage we have as women, because we can say something like, "You're really awful. How can you vote that way, Senator so-and-so? It's awful." And just, these are some innate skills we have as women. We know how to be pragmatic and how to say things that are important in a nice way. We don't even have to raise our voices. We just smile and say, "Yes, you're crazy. I don't agree with the word you said, and you're crazy." Now we have this young lady here from the House of Representatives, Allegra, and she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Right? Allegra probably does this every day. So, all right, bring my next point. Bring others along. Okay, that means train them, mentor them, inspire them. Okay, so you're successful. Big deal. What have you done for somebody else? Particularly those of us from immigrant communities. We have a great responsibility. We're the lucky ones. I mean, we are lucky. We get to be in America, in the land of the free and the brave. We have people willing to die for our country, the veterans, who we are always indebted to. And we have a constitution, and we have a government that at least tries to work most of the time. It's not perfect. But you can't be one of those people to say, "Well, it's not perfect, I'm just going to say all the bad things about it." You have to bring people up to be a part of that. That's where it's very important for the Korean American community to have a seat at the table. And we now do have seats at the table, but we didn't even 10 years ago. There was no Korean American in the legislature. Now we have more representation, and there are at least 5 Asian Americans in the legislature. Okay? So we need to make sure, and I mean this on both sides of the aisle, if you're a Republican or Democrat, I really don't care. What I want is good government and people who have seats at the table who will take it seriously and work on behalf of everyone. And do what is best. We got a lot of smart folks in this room. And even if you don't run for office, at the very least, you need to be voting. If you're not voting, then shame on you. You really cannot complain because you didn't vote. Now, your person may not win, but you've got to vote because I, as an elected official, have to know you're going to vote. If I don't listen to the Korean American community, there should be repercussions. Now, I'm not saying threaten people, I'm just saying I'm consciously knowing I'm making this vote. And I know I've heard from the Korean Americans, I've heard from the Japanese Americans, the Chinese Americans, the Nigerian Americans, the Bangladeshis, and, because I did try to hear from everybody I could when I was voting on this, okay? But part of that is you not being afraid to reach out, okay? The fourth one, network. We talked about networking. This is what we're doing here. I hope presently we have a list of all these lovely ladies. You guys should be emailing and talking amongst yourselves. If you're going to the Capitol and organizing, you should be letting people know. And it doesn't have to just be going to the Capitol organizing. It could be, we're going to go feed the homeless this weekend. Why is that important? Because a lot of people outside of Gwinnett don't see Korean Americans. You go to my hometown, I'd be surprised if there's more than a few, because the first family showed up when I was in high school. I had never seen a Korean American, ever. And I'm from rural Georgia. So again, rural Georgia needs to see you. And you need to be not afraid to go to rural Georgia and say, hi, my name's Gigi. Yes, I live in Atlanta, but I'm here to talk about whatever, or to help where there's been a flood, or to help in the pandemic. I remember being reached out to by the Korean American community at large. We have masks for everybody. We can get PPP. We can get PPP. I mean, nobody could get PPP. But in our district, we have direct connections with Chinese community and the Korean community, and we were able to connect them with the governor's task force. And because of that, Georgia was not gouged like other states, because we could pick up the phone and call the business community we need, okay? We wouldn't have been able to do that but for folks reaching out to their legislators, and we knew who to call. But again, they called me, which was really nice. And I will tell you that we need to have more women in these situations. President Lee was the first woman leader I met in the Korean community. Okay? She reached out to me. She texted me, hi, I'm here. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. This lady's texted me. And so, and then we got to know each other more, being more stuff together. And then if there's a problem, I know I can call her. I've got her on my cell phone. Heaven help you, because you know that means I will call. But it's good to be that way. And then if she doesn't have the answer for whatever I'm calling for, she may say, oh, I don't have that answer, but I know somebody who does. That's where the networking is very important. You never know when you need to call on someone. And you cannot be afraid to ask for help. This is big, especially in our culture. We don't like to ask. We don't like to be too aggressive necessarily. We don't like to be in people's face. I hate to tell you, sometimes you will have to be in someone's face in a nice way and smile. You'll be surprised who comes to help you. And I want to share this story with you because this is one of the most significant things I've ever accomplished. And I didn't do it as a state senator, and I didn't do it as a lawyer. I did it as a citizen. And this relates to my heritage. My father immigrated from Iran. I'm Persian. But way back in the day, thousands of years ago, I had family that immigrated from Afghanistan into Iran. So we have the Afghan situation where people are trying to be evacuated, and there are people who have served with our forces who need help. A friend called me. He had been a law enforcement officer And he and I had worked together when I was a prosecutor. And he said, Zara, I don't know what to do. I served with this family in Afghanistan, and we need to get them out. But I have no idea how to do it. But I called you because you know a lot of people, and you have a big mouth. So I said to him, I was like, JT, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call, but I'm going to try. And so then over the course of several days, and a lot of calling, and a lot of harassing people over and over, what have you done for me today? Did you get that done? Remember, we got lives at risk. We need to get these people out. Yes, I know everything's shut down, nothing works, but if we have to, we can lock them out. I don't know how we're going to get them out, but we got to get them out. We have a duty, and I personally felt that because I was a veteran, and my brother is 100% disabled from his service in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I was very personally connected. I'm happy to tell you we got 22 souls out of Afghanistan the morning that the terrorist attack happened. They had just gotten out. And the most amazing thing of all, one of the ladies' names was Zara. So, things come back in mysterious ways. But Zara is here in America. I haven't met her yet, but she's here. And I knew when I saw her name, that just struck me to the core. I cried like a baby. And again, my father was present. I knew he'd be proud. But not only that, we had managed to do the impossible just by making phone calls and begging people for help and people helping. And again, you never know where the help's going to come from. We had Republicans helping, we had independents helping, we had Democrats helping, we had blessings, which is really how they got out, because they all made it to the airport under extreme circumstances and then somehow got on a plane under extreme circumstances and made it to America, and they're still under extreme circumstances, but they are getting a chance. I wish everyone could have these chances. In a perfect world, everybody would live in peace and harmony, and everybody would be able to, achieve their talents. But it's not a perfect world. That's what we have to work for. And there's a lot to do, and we'll never be done. But we just take baby steps as much as we can. And that's the importance, again, tying it back, I'm starting to jump around a little bit, the networking. Because again, if you had said, Zara, you're going to get 22 people out of Afghanistan, well, one, I didn't do it by myself. There were hundreds, probably thousands of people who helped, who we'll never even know about, because you don't get publicized in the news for that. And in fact, I gave everybody else credit for that, because, you have to be willing to share the credit with others. And in fact, there's no limit to the good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. And there are so many times that I was able to do that as a senator, to get bills passed without my name on it. Because I was like, look, this is what we need. In fact, sign on, Senator so-and-so. You can be the person on the bill. You take all the credit. I just want it done. So this is where this group is so important. You should be networking, talking, and be there for each other. And that's why you have my card, because I'm also part of your network. And you can always call on me. And I can always call on you, so. Be thankful. Be thankful for what you have, and also be thankful for every challenge and loss that you have gotten, because it helps you learn. And that is really hard to do sometimes, especially when you're really unhappy that, for example, I didn't get elected to Congress, there was a pandemic, and it really messed up my plans. Oh well, that wasn't meant to be, but I learned a lot. I learned about pandemics and PPP and masks and all that kind of fun stuff that I never knew about. I learned about how to feed kids when there was no food because they weren't in school. I learned all these people who would come up to get all these kids fed. I learned about domestic violence issues and how people in the community came to help in those situations. And suicide and mental health and all these things I didn't know about. I may be a super lawyer, but I don't know everything, and I'm certainly not a mental health person. In fact, I could be, on the edge at any time myself. I mean, let's be honest. There are good days and bad days sometimes, and we need help ourselves. So, be open for an opportunity. If somebody calls you out of the blue, you might need to answer. My best example of this is when I was a young lawyer, I got a call from the governor's office. Said, "Hi, can you be down here tomorrow morning? Oh no, actually, can you be down here today, this afternoon at like 4:30, to interview with the governor?" And I said, "Okay, who is this? And what am I interviewing for?" I had no idea. I had no idea. Never heard of this person, didn't know the governor, had no idea what was going on. And I said, "Excuse me, could you please share what's going on?" And the person went on and said, "Well, you haven't talked to Buddy Darden, have you?" I was like, "No, I haven't." So the next phone call was to Buddy Darden. Now, who's Buddy Darden? Buddy Darden is the congressman who nominated me to the Air Force Academy 100 years ago, who is also a lawyer who I have kept up with and networked with over my life, and he's been a lifetime mentor. So again, you may get that call. And maybe come run this charity, come do this food drive, come fly the scouts to DC. Because if you don't fly, please find a pilot. Okay, now this next part, know your history, from where you've come, especially as Korean Americans and especially as women. Now this was very hard for me because I grew up, there were no Persians anywhere. I didn't know any Persians. I went to the Air Force Academy, there were no Persians. I didn't really get to meet a lot of Persians until I ran for office. And I was calling Iranian Americans all across the country, "Hey, you don't know me, but I'm running for office and you should support me." And they're like, "Who are you?" But I have to tell you, that was the most incredible conversations. And one of the best blessings, I now have a national network of Persians. They're on both sides of the aisle. There were 5 people who ran for Congress this last cycle, and there were no Iranian Americans in Congress. So the goal was, one of us will get elected, maybe more, but at least one. We have the first Iranian American in Congress. She is a Republican from Oklahoma. Who would have ever thought? Oklahoma has Persians. Who knew? So I'm very proud of that. Because guess what? I can call her. She doesn't say, "Oh, you're a Democrat, I'm not going to talk to you." She says, "Oh, hi, Zara." Again, support folks. Bring them along. Republican, Democrat, whatever. You need seats at the table. And in fact, it's better to have Republicans and Democrats because you can always call somebody. And you're not pigeonholed. Well, that community, they always vote this way. Or they always do this. Which is never true. But we want to make sure we are open to everybody. All right, let's see. My next one. Dream big. You're not going to get something if you don't try for it. And don't wait to be asked. This is, again, something culturally difficult for us, and also as women. They say you got to ask a woman like 5 or 7 times to run for office. I can only imagine how many times they have to ask those of us who have Asian heritage, because, but don't wait to be asked. I can tell you, it's sometimes hard for us to do this because we don't like to be vulnerable. But you're going to have to be vulnerable. And also, you got to be bold. Okay, I came from welfare and food stamps in Northwest Georgia, and my dad was an immigrant. Who would have ever thought I was going to be a state senator? Nobody. Who would have ever thought thought I would run for Congress? Nobody. Who would have ever thought I'd be standing here with you? A beautiful group of talented women. Nobody. See? But I remember what it's like to be on welfare food stamps. I remember what it's like to not have shelter. I remember what it's like to not have health care. And I can use that to better the world for all of us. And you all have these stories. Everybody's got a story. And it took me a long time to share mine and be my authentic self. Say, yeah, I'm Persian. How many times have you been called a terrorist? Oh, all the time. No, it's true. But you know, it is what it is, and some people are going to say those things, and guess what? I'm just going to make them more mad because I'm going to accomplish something. Yes, you may not like me, but all these Korean American ladies like me, and they all voted for me, so guess what? I'm in office. So, now I don't want to make this all about me, and I know we got 6 more hours. You guys, I'm opening it up to questions, and I apologize, I probably went longer than I should have. But I want to make sure we get some questions. If you guys have questions, and I only charge. Okay? Anyway, not to be too funny, but does anybody have a question? Seriously?
Well, we do have a Q&A session.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I have 2 leaders. I'm going to give them a little bit of time.
Oh, really? Oh, she's organized.
Yes, very organized.
This is the most organized place I've been. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Wrap up? Or
Well, no.
I'll
You can wrap
say
up.
my closing.
Oh,
I have closing.
Thank you.
See, so I want to first thank you for being here and for being leaders in your community and doing all that you've done. You've done a lot. And you may not have even thought about how much you've done, but if you go home at night and think about it, you've done a lot. And you're going to continue to be active in your community, you continue to bring change, you're going to continue to be the light in the world. And when people need to see a good example of a Korean American woman, you're that example. And Allegra, you're your example for your community. Because I want to commend her for being here. She is here reaching out to meet people not like herself, which is also very important. You can't be hidden in one place. You've got to be out and about where people see you and say, oh, I know someone from that community. She's a nice person. I've talked to her before. So I want to thank you for all you've done and all you're going to continue to do. I encourage you to continue to support one another as we're doing here. This organization is a wonderful idea, a wonderful concept. You've got to make it work. You are all empowered to do that. And remember that the sky is the limit. So this is something I do. Every year I make goals. They're not New Year's resolutions because those don't get followed, but they're goals, and they're high. Aim high, Air Force. I was an Air Force officer, so yeah. So I look forward to being on this journey with you. I'm here to help you. I'm a resource, and also I consider you my resources as well. I do have cards back at the table. You cannot leave without a card. That is your exemption from the exam. Otherwise, yeah, there you go. And then I just want to say, the limited Korean that I have shared with you, I learned in the military. Because you got to go to Korea. Now, there's things going on in Korea. And it's a beautiful country. And I was very blessed to get to come to Korea. And my sister served in Korea as well, and my brother-in-law. And so when I ran for office, one of the first communities that I was blessed to get to meet and know in Gwinnett County was the Korean American community, the Korean Cultural Center, and do all these wonderful things and eat here. One of my favorite places to be. This is like one of my favorite restaurants. And I just want to thank you so much for your blessings, and 감사합니다.
Well, thank you so much for your inspirational and very, very strongly encouraging speech that you have given to us today. We have created a certificate
I
of
love this. This is
appreciation.
beautiful.
And Ms. Zara Karinchak, we would like to present you this certificate of appreciation and recognition of your gracious and informative speech on this day, March 4th, 2022.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, take your time.
Even better.
Yes,
This is-
yes. Ms. Leah presented.
Actually,
Oh, you're so kind. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.